Today, we're diving headfirst into the skill system of Oblivion, because what better way to show your love for Tamriel than arguing over which skills are hot garbage and which ones will carry you through master difficulty. This is all in preparation of my live streamed master run, where I'm picking the class the community decides for me. Watch this video located in the description and comment what class you want me to choose, and I'll make sure to do it. But before we get into this tier list, here's your friendly reminder. Oblivion is all about freedom. You want to punch ghosts with your bare hands? Go for it. Do no damage for as long as you want to. Want to sneak around naked and pickpocket people's pants off? Live your truth, kings and queens. This list is based on my experience with the game, how impactful a skill is for me, how efficient it was for me to level, what perks you can get, and most importantly, how fun it is for me to use in my builds. If you disagree, that's what the comment section is for. Let's hear your spicy takes. Acrobatics. Yeah, jumping's fun, but that's it. You'll max this out by just bunny hopping everywhere like a caffeinated Khajiit. And at master level, you take 0 fall damage. Whee! Still not as useful as a major skill though, in my opinion, as this skill will just naturally level over time as you run around the world. If you really want a power level, you can just jump constantly in a corner or jump wherever you go. Keep in mind, this is a skill that is not technically capped, so if you can fortify this skill above the level 100, you will jump higher. Personally, and this might be controversial, I will put this skill into the F tier, as I think for higher difficulty runs, this will just inflate your level and make the enemies a lot harder, while not providing a huge impact in terms of combat ability. The saving grace at the high levels is you can jump places enemies can't reach, but by that point you should be relatively leveled and geared, and you won't need to be running from enemies all the time. With Alchemy, Oblivion's unofficial economy-breaking tool. You can go from broke to millionaire faster than you could say restore fatigue. Okay, maybe not that fast, but still, you get the point. It's easy to level, it's got powerful effects, and it's totally busted once you figure out some crucial recipes. I have an entire in-depth alchemy guide on my channel where you can find some obscenely powerful recipes to take advantage of. Nothing quite like a poison that damages 2 attributes, paralyzes, silences, and damages their health in one shot. That's why Alchemy gets the easiest S rank I could give on this list. Alteration is a school of magic that does things such as unlocking, feather spells, and shield buffs, kind of like the quality of life school of magic. It's not super fun, quote unquote, but it really is a Swiss Army knife in terms of magic builds. Because of the feather spells and shield buffs that come with Alteration, this is a solid B tier choice. Ultimately, you'll likely find enchantments and other resources to accomplish Feather and Shield, such as Alchemy for example, but Alteration is a solid route to go with. If you don't want the hassle of hunting for alchemy ingredients all the time, it goes in the B tier for sure. Armor will help keep your equipment and weapons in solid shape. A lot of people are absolutely in love with this skill, but personally I usually just make a Fortify Armorer spell and use that. You can cast that for 1 second, then quickly open up your inventory, and you can take advantage of having like 100 armor without ever having to really level it. More information on that type of spell can be found in my spell making video elsewhere on my channel. I'll try to remember to include it in the description as well. If you want to power level this skill, just use Disintegrate enchants or weapons that have the Disintegrate skill. You can find a lot of these in Oblivion, and just repair the equipment of any enemy you kill. This will be a quick way to maximize the skill through power leveling, but once again, I have to stress that it really is a great spell to make, that you can make like a quick little reparo spell or whatever you want to call it if you're a Harry Potter fan. That'll just give you pretty much 100 armor no matter what. But this skill does fall into the B tier because for so many builds, especially at the early game, this can be a huge difference between being able to use a strong weapon and having it break in the middle of a fight. Talking about athletics, congratulations, you now walk slightly faster. Maybe. No one knows exactly how much it changes. It does level constantly in the background, and it gives you the least satisfying rewards of any skill in the game. Like Acrobatics, you can fortify this above 100 to increase your overall travel speed. Personally, I like grabbing a horse, fortifying its speed and agility, then you can race away at the speed of light using spellcrafting instead of athletics. When I think of athletics, I think, it's cardio. But at the end of the day, it's really not that important of a skill, and it's one of those I'll add on if I want to arbitrarily scale up my levels faster and make the game harder for me to actually be able to play. That's why athletics I'm going to put into the F tier, Once again, this is probably another controversial one, but if you disagree, let me know why in the comments for sure. Moving on to talk about Blade. This one here is a classic for me. I almost always pick this one. It's really easy to level, it's got lots of good weapon choices, and it does great damage. You combine it with some poisons from Alchemy, and you can basically be a medieval John Wick. I love Blade myself and will almost always choose it as one of my skills in any major character build, as I feel the best weapons in the game that you can get typically do wind up being blades, such as Dawnfang, Umbra, Chillrend, and more. Blade gets an A rank as I feel for the vast majority of builds, it really is a great skill to grab. Now, block is a skill that I'll say is underrated as all hell. Blocking with the shield and getting those stagger perks is satisfying, just not very flashy. No one ever said, wow, sick block bro, unless you're playing Dark Souls or something like that. You can also shield bash enemies in character builds that are designed to avoid outright killing your foes. You definitely don't want to sleep on block. It's an absolutely essential major skill in almost every build I make, and probably should be for most of yours. That's why I give block a B tier. With Blade comes Blunt. I would still put Blade above Blunt by a small margin, but this really just comes down to personal playstyle and the choice to determine what weapon type you gravitate towards. While I think Blade has a better best weapon option in my opinion, there's nothing quite like smashing something in the head with a giant axe or a hammer and watching it fly. Like Blade, Blunt is going into the A tier on my list, as most character builds should have one or the other as a major skill to be truly effective. Let's chat about Conjuration. You ever want your own pocket army? Just summon a Daedra to do your dirty work while you stand back and eat some grapes or cheese. This works on all builds, it's easy to level, and makes the game way more fun. This skill, in my opinion, opens up a lot of possibilities for different character builds that are unconventional, and the amount and variation of your summons you can get will give you an ally for almost any encounter that'll be super effective against your opponent. That's why Conjuration actually gets an S tier for me, just because of the variation and the amount of fun you can have with it. Let's talk destruction. Fireballs, lightning, frost. What's really not to love here? You can cook goblins, barbecue necromancers, and fry some trolls. Just be warned, early game destruction can be like throwing wet paper towels at enemies on the higher difficulties. You'll want to get to a spell-making altar as soon as possible and make some spells that can stack for some superpowered damage. I have a spell-making video on my channel where I break down some really strong spells you can make that deal serious damage. Even on master difficulty, you can like one or two shot some enemies. So definitely be sure to check that out if you're interested. This skill will get an A rank though, as I feel it is very solid and almost a must for any kind of character build that wants to deal some damage with magic. Let's move on to hand. Okay, punching things is hilarious and weirdly satisfying until you start hitting a ghost. Then you remember ghosts are magic only damage and you cry into your deadly hands. Still, master level disarming is pretty wild and can be a lot of fun. I've seen many people comment in other videos that disarming isn't working for them, but I can tell you 100% in my gameplay, I have disarmed enemies and I have been disarmed, especially against those hand-to-hand fighters in the arena. So while it may happen less often than the original Oblivion, it is still functional in the game. However, if you've seen my other videos where I break down character builds and things like that, you know how much I don't like hand-to-hand. But I am going to put it in the D tier because it is still a damage dealing skill, and for some builds it can be kind of important to have. Plus, disarming can still be really fun. You can disarm an enemy, grab their weapon, and use it against them. It's pretty fun. Heavy armor is tanky and reliable, but it levels slowly unless you like getting smacked in the face repeatedly. Depending on your build, that very well may be a possibility. Bonus points for making you sound like a walking trash can in my opinion. I think the heavy armor has some of the coolest looks in Oblivion, especially with the remastered updated graphics, and considering Spell Sword is one of my favorite pre-made classes, I do find myself using heavy armor quite a lot in many builds. This skill will also get a B tier, as I find that heavy armor improves your defense rating substantially compared to light armor. If you utilize some feather tricks as well, you don't even care about the increased weight that the armor carries with you. Do you want to be a walking god of chaos? Frenzy an entire city and watch as citizens beat each other to death with loaves of bread? Pick Illusion. It's fun, versatile, and powerful, especially with invisibility. If you can make a spell that demoralizes enemies and fortifies their speed, you can watch and laugh as they charge you, then yeet away at Mach 3. This is a really solid A rank skill in my opinion, just due to the versatility that comes with the spells you can use in this school of magic. Light armor is functionally fine, but in my opinion, it's just kind of overshadowed by heavy armor or just dodging more. You'll outgrow it fast, and it levels slowly unless you're a professional punching bag. Pretty much the whole point of having light armor is it's usually for characters who avoid taking damage, and if you have a block skill, you'll find that you'll be blocking more than just tanking the damage outright. I will admit, there are some cool looking light armors though, such as glass, but I think heavy armor just does it better. That's why this skill gets a C tier. As far as Marksman goes, once it levels up, it's a great way to drop enemies from stealth before they even know you're there. Just prepare for a lot of missing early on. The Marksman skill in Oblivion, though, is leaps and bounds better than its predecessor in Morrowind. If this was Morrowind, this skill would get an F for the abysmal combat mechanics involving range that game had. However, this is Oblivion, and shooting people in the face and seeing the arrows stick out is oh so satisfying. Marksman for me floats between an A and a B depending on your overall character build, but I'm going to put it in the high B as I just feel a little bit better putting it there personally. Moving on to Mercantile. Congratulations! You leveled up by selling 1,000 wolf pelts for 2 gold each. Now you get to sell your next 1,000 for 3 gold each. That's exciting, right? Also, have fun grinding this skill. It levels like molasses rolling uphill. The only saving grace in this skill, in my opinion, is at the highest levels being able to invest in a shop, which gives them an extra amount of gold to be able to barter with you with. By that time, however, you'll likely have enough gold where a few extra coins aren't going to make or break your bank anyway. This skill for me gets a D. Don't focus too much on this skill, in my opinion. I literally never have, and I always wind up having way more money than I typically need anyway. As far as Mysticism goes, it has some useful utility spells such as Soul Trap, Detect Life, and others, but it just feels like the devs dumped all the leftovers here. It's the School of Magic equivalent of your junk drawer. The biggest bonus here, and this is a big bonus, in this School of Magic is Telekinesis, especially if you go with a Magic Atronach build that you don't have Magicka regeneration. You can actually use Telekinesis spells combined with Spell Absorption to regain Magicka for casting the Telekinesis spell. And even more so, you can actually build what we call free cast spells that are spells with damaging and telekinesis effects that regain you the amount of magicka you use for the cast. So essentially, you cast it for free. I do have a video about this on my channel as well if you want to learn more, but that's why this school gets a B, because for several character builds, it's an absolutely essential skill to focus on, but for a number of them, really, you can just toss it to the side and not care as well. With Restoration, this one's gonna be controversial, I know. This has great effects, but in my opinion, it's a lot slower to level than the other magic schools. Also, good luck casting those higher spells unless you dump tons of points into willpower, or you can use my video to maximize your overall magicka to whatever level you want. That video may be in the description as well for you. In terms of magic schools, this is one of the last ones I choose for builds. Honestly, I just chug a potion instead and use alchemy for my restoration pathways. With some potions you can heal, fortify health, and even restore magicka with just a few ingredients. You want to check out that alchemy video to definitely find out more in that regards. But I'll put this into a C tier because it is still very useful, but just with the drawbacks that it has and the fact that alchemy can do everything this does but essentially better in my opinion, that's why I'll always just kind of pick alchemy over restoration. This one's kind of the fallback on my magic schools. With security, lockpicking becomes just perfect once you're journeyman and beyond. Plus, you can just get the skeleton key to make lockpicking super easy where you just spam the auto unlock button until it works, as you can't break the skeleton key. There's not much to go over here. As your skill increases, lockpicking gets easier. There's also guide videos on the internet on how to never mess up lockpicking every time, so this skill becomes mid-tier, as with that guide, you'll be able to unlock everything with ease pretty much right away, and then you can just grab the skeleton key and then just be able to make that so easy. That's why I'm going to put this one in a C tier, because security, while it's nice to have, it's not really essential. You'll be able to get by without ever really working on it. In my opinion, Sneak can literally be game-breaking at high levels. When you're at Master Rank, you can essentially crouch sprint behind someone wearing Daedric armor and slap them to death with a stick, and they'll never know you were there. Maybe not literally with a stick, but you understand the point. This skill is essential for any character builds designed to avoid killing enemies, as you can reverse pickpocket some deadly items onto them, such as a hood that deals damage constantly to them. I cover reverse pickpocketing more in my self-enchanting video, but it's an essential skill to be able to master if you want to actually play some fun, non-conventional builds that involve like pacifism and other things like that where you don't directly kill them. With the late game advantages Sneak has, I do put it into the S tier, but keep in mind I typically won't choose this as a major skill as it's very easy to grind the levels and I want to avoid quick level scaling. All you really have to do is find an enemy, get relatively close to them, and then just auto run into a corner. If you time it right and you can hear your footsteps, you'll just level Sneak while you're not doing anything at all and can just walk away and go eat some dinner or something. Let's speak about Speechcraft. Sure, persuading people is fun for like 10 minutes. Then you realize you're playing a weird pie chart minigame that makes almost no sense, and you've been doing it for 300 times now, and you've only gained 5 persuasion points, and it makes you want to scream. Mercantile and bribery often just do the job faster. After a few hours in game, you should be stockpiling some serious septums, so I always just bribe my way to the required relationship level I need to get the information I'm looking for. I toss this skill into the F column as a result. It's a skill I only take when I want to make the game harder arbitrarily, so for me I can't justify a lot of benefits for the skill when I'm literally just padding a bad character build with it. And that's the list. Every skill in Oblivion Remastered ranked from God tier to garbage tier in my opinion. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you want to defend athletics with your life? Let me know in the comments. I read them all in between chugging restore willpower potions, as you guys can be pretty savage. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe, and maybe share this with your buddy who still thinks Speechcraft is an essential skill. And as always, good luck out there, adventurers. May Akatosh guide your way.